Yo, what's up? This your boy Derek Branch here, Same Discussions on Strike 7 Sports. And today I just want to talk about Dennis Allen and comparing the situation to how other head coaches turned out in their second and third stint as a head coach in the at the professional level. Um, Dennis Allen, had a losing record with the Las Vegas Raiders, which was at the time called the Oakland Raiders. I believe I think he was the head coach when they had Jamarcus Russell. No, that was Lane Kiffin. He took over for Lane Kiffin, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think Derek Carr was under his watch for like the first year, and they fired him midway through the season under the 500 record as a head coach. Came back to New Orleans, was pretty much was like a assistant, wasn't the actual DC yet for working with Rob Ryan, but they eventually moved on from Rob Ryan during that was 2015 year, and Dennis Allen became the full-time defensive coordinator going forward, and defense has became the strength of the team dating back to 2017 when they started to get guys like Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Williams, C.J. Gardner Johnson, Von Bell, Trey Hendrickson, Demario Davis, C.D. Deuce. So I said his name, Dave Yamada, Sheldon Rankins. It's a long list of players that have progressed pretty well under the Dennis Allen scheme as a defensive coordinator. Now, I'll compare this to I liken this situation to what Bill Belichick went through when Pete Carroll. Belichick was a defensive coordinator with the Giants. Had those great Super Bowl run years with the New York Giants as their defensive coordinator, working with Lawrence Taylor, Bill Parcells, working with that great defense, Pepper Johnson, Carl Banks. Um, was like one of the very few teams that could, give the 49ers some issues. Got a job at working with the Cleveland Browns, became their head coach. Things didn't go too well, and they fired him like a little. Probably shouldn't have did that. Fired him prematurely, a little too early to fire him, but they fired him. And the Browns haven't been since ever haven't been hasn't been right ever since. You know, Belichick got the New England job, got Tom Brady in the seventh round, and I think seventh round if I'm not mistaken, seventh round of the draft, and his trajectory as a head coach, his ceiling exploded. 6 time Super Bowl winning head coach, been to multiple playoff appearances, multiple AFC Championship game appearances, multiple division titles appearances. Um, Pretty much been dominating the AFC East until recently. The past 2 seasons, 3 seasons, it hasn't looking well, and that's because because this quarterback situation, and the lack of talent. Now, same goes for Pete Carroll. Was a failure with the New York Jets early on in his career. Failure with the New England Patriots, working with Drew Bledsoe. Got fired and somehow got the USC job and won a few national titles in USC. He came back to the NFL. Things weren't looking pretty well, looking promising at first, but they draft Russell Wilson in the third round of the I think 2012 NFL draft, and his outlook as a head coach changed because he was about to be fired until he got the right quarterback and start winning Super Bowls. And now Pete Carroll is considered a future Hall of Fame head coach. He has Super Bowl, or two back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, one championship included, multiple division NFC West titles. Um, Pretty much resume pretty much changed as a head coach because of having that second opportunity to become a head coach and second or third opportunity to become a head coach, and finding the right pieces around him to be successful. So I say all of that to say the same can happen with Dennis Allen. Things didn't go too well in Oakland, due to that roster just wasn't that good. Just wasn't good. Playing in the AFC West with Andy Reid with a lack of talent, that's always going to be a recipe for disaster. But you in New Orleans, I would give all the credit to him for you know turning that defense around from being a defense that was constantly setting records for being the worst defense in the NFL to now being one of the best defenses in the NFL. Dating back to like 2017, the Saints defense has been ranked in the top 10 in sacks. Dating back 2017, you know, have one of the best shutdown corners in Marshawn Lattimore on the team in the NFL, who's ranked number two, um, behind in front of behind Jalen Ramsey for the top corners in the league by ESPN. You got Demario Davis, C.J. Garner Johnson, P.J. Williams. Just a stacked secondary, man. So now you get this. You're not a head coach of the New Orleans Saints due to because Sean Payton decides to retire, walk away from the game. It is what it is. Whoop de whoop. And he has opportunity to change his trajectory as an NFL head coach, and he has opportunity to become a great head coach. Hopefully, Jameis Winston, can put everything together, work on the game, the areas that he need to fix to be a proficient NFL quarterback with this team, and be successful with the weapons that's been put around him. And if that happens, Dennis Allen could be a head coach that could win a Super Bowl, that could win or appear in multiple Super Bowls with the Saints, dominate the NFC South. Because the reality is that Tampa Bay, after this season, Brady most likely will retire, walk away from football, go into that role with the Miami Dolphins. I think trying to be the owner, have ownership in that team. Uh, Carolina may be looking for a new QB or no. They may have the guy in Baker Mayfield. We don't know. Atlanta it doesn't have a QB at the moment. A long term option as a QB. You know, so the sky is the limit for Dennis Allen and how he could become a a future great NFL head coach. It all starts with just having to find the right pieces around you. You know, just like with Belichick and Pete Carroll. They you know go to different organizations, get another opportunity, a second and third chance, and they just find the right pieces around them. To fit their scheme as a head coach. And now they're both coaches are now considered future Hall of Famers, Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick, and that's because, like I said, you know, finding the right quarterback to work with. It all begins with the quarterback, man. It doesn't matter if you're a defensive minded head coach working with a quarterback, with a elite quarterback. It doesn't matter. Is just finding that right guy that's going to take care of everything as a QB and that offensive coordinator. And I think Dennis Allen has that to get to those levels. So we'll see how everything plays out this season, man. I'm looking forward to it. Training camp begins July 19th for the rookies, July 26th for the veterans. There ain't a whole lot going on right now. It'll start up in a few days, but people on the outside that don't really know the team, that don't have this impression of Dennis Allen as a failure, as a failed head coach. But they view him as a defensive coordinator, as a really good defensive coordinator. But I think he'll prove everybody wrong this year with the personnel that they have on that football team on both sides of the football. So we'll see. All right, that's all I have for y'all for right now, man. Just give me a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know how y'all feel. Do you think Dennis Allen has the opportunity to become an all-time great head coach like Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick? Also, description box below. Check out strike7sports.com/Saints for latest content. New Orleans Saints organization. Have a blessed night. Peace. I'm out. Who that?